In the quiet village nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, there lurked a tale whispered by the elders around crackling fires and over steaming mugs of tea, the legend of the ghost of the village. As the story goes, centuries ago, a young maiden named Elara lived in the village. She was known for her beauty and kindness, and her laughter echoed through the streets every day. But tragedy struck when Elara fell deeply in love with a traveler passing through, a handsome bard who sang songs of distant lands and enchanted her heart. Their love was forbidden by the village elders, who feared the stranger and his influence on their peaceful community. Ignoring the warnings, Elara continued to meet her beloved in secret, under the shade of an ancient oak tree by the riverbank. One stormy night, as the rain poured down in torrents and lightning split the sky, the villagers awoke to screams echoing through the village. Rushing to the riverbank, they found Elara lying lifeless beneath the oak tree, her heartbroken lover kneeling beside her. Grief-stricken and overcome with guilt, the bard disappeared into the night, leaving only whispers and sorrow in his wake. But Elara's spirit did not find peace. It is said that on stormy nights, when the wind howls through the trees and rain beats against the windows, her ghostly figure can be seen wandering the village streets, searching for her lost love. Some say she appears as a shimmering silhouette by the riverbank, others as a flickering light dancing among the trees. But all who have seen her agree on one thing: the sadness in her eyes and the longing in her ethereal presence. To this day, the villagers leave offerings of wildflowers and small tokens of remembrance by the oak tree where Elara's tragedy unfolded. They whisper prayers for her restless soul to find peace and reunite with her beloved bard, so that the ghost of the village may finally find solace in the embrace of eternal love. Years passed, and the village continued to thrive amidst the shadow of Elara's tragic tale. The legend of the ghost of the village became a poignant reminder of love lost and the consequences of defying tradition. Despite the passage of time, Elara's presence remained woven into the fabric of village life. Mothers hushed their children with warnings of straying too far from home after dark, lest they encounter the wandering spirit. The elders spoke of her with solemn reverence, cautioning against wandering near the oak tree by the riverbank, especially on stormy nights when the air crackled with electricity. Yet, despite the warnings, there were those who sought the ghostly apparition, drawn by curiosity or a desire to witness the supernatural. Some claimed to have glimpsed her fleeting figure, a shimmering outline amidst the mist, or heard her melancholic sigh carried on the wind. One young villager, a bold and adventurous soul named Tomas, harbored a fascination with the ghostly legend. Unlike his peers who heeded the tales with fearful respect, Tomas felt a strange empathy towards Elara's spirit. He would often steal away from his chores and responsibilities to wander the village outskirts, hoping for a chance encounter with the ghost of the village. One stormy autumn evening, as the village slept under heavy blankets of rain, Tomas ventured alone to the oak tree by the riverbank. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth, and the distant rumble of thunder echoed in the distance. Standing beneath the tree's gnarled branches, Tomas whispered softly into the darkness. "Elara," he called out, his voice barely louder than the patter of raindrops on leaves. "I've heard your story, seen the offerings left in your memory. Are you here? Can you hear me?" Silence greeted his words, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the murmur of the river. Tomas's heart raced with a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. He closed his eyes and waited, the cool touch of raindrops running down his cheeks. Suddenly, a soft breeze swept through the clearing, carrying with it a faint, ethereal whisper. Tomas's eyes snapped open, and there she stood, a figure bathed in moonlight, her form translucent yet unmistakably human. Elara's ghost gazed at him with eyes that held centuries of sorrow, yet a glimmer of recognition. "Tomas," she murmured, her voice a gentle echo of a time long past. "Why do you seek me?" Tomas swallowed hard, his voice catching in his throat. I wanted to understand, to see if you were real, to know your story beyond the whispers." Elara's ghost regarded him with a mixture of sadness and curiosity. "I am trapped between worlds, Tomas, cursed to wander until my heart finds peace. What keeps you here?" Tomas asked softly, his gaze unwavering despite the ghostly chill that surrounded him. My love? Elara whispered, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. I wait for him still, hoping that someday, our souls will find each other again. Tomas felt a pang of sympathy for the restless spirit before him. Is there anything I can do to help? Elara's ghost smiled faintly, a wistful expression crossing her translucent features. Perhaps, in listening to my tale, in remembering our love, you have already done enough. With those words, Elara's figure began to fade, the moonlight embracing her as she dissolved into the night. Tomas stood alone beneath the oak tree, his heart heavy with the weight of the encounter. From that night onward, Tomas became the keeper of Elara's tale. He shared her story with reverence and respect, ensuring that her memory lived on in the hearts of the villagers. And though Elara's ghost continued to wander, her presence served as a reminder of the enduring power of love and the eternal hope that someday, even in the afterlife, souls may find their way back to each other. As Tomas grew older, his bond with the ghost of Elara deepened. He spent countless nights beneath the oak tree, whispering tales of the village and recounting Elara's tragic love story to anyone who would listen. His voice became a soothing balm for those who feared the ghostly apparition, transforming fear into a quiet reverence for the lost soul that wandered their village. Over time, the villagers began to leave more offerings at the oak tree, not out of fear, but out of respect and a shared sense of sorrow for Elara's plight. Wildflowers adorned the clearing where Tomas had first encountered her, and small trinkets were left as tokens of remembrance, a testament to the enduring legacy of love and loss that Elara represented. Through Tomas's efforts, the village came to embrace Elara's ghost as a guardian spirit rather than a harbinger of fear. Children no longer dreaded the dark or the stormy nights. Instead, they whispered stories of Elara's ethereal presence, hoping to catch a glimpse of her shimmering form dancing among the trees. As the years passed, Tomas himself became a venerable elder of the village, his once fiery curiosity tempered into a quiet wisdom. He continued to share Elara's story with each new generation, ensuring that her memory remained etched in the collective consciousness of the village. One fateful winter's eve, when Tomas had reached the twilight of his life, a stranger arrived in the village. He was a weary traveler, cloaked in shadows and carrying a lute that bore the marks of many journeys. His arrival stirred whispers among the villagers, memories of the bard who had once captured Elara's heart and then vanished into the night. Tomas, now weathered and frail yet still possessing a keen spirit, approached the stranger with cautious hope. "Are you?" he began, his voice barely above a whisper, the weight of years and stories carried in his every word. The stranger met Tomas's gaze with eyes that held a haunting familiarity, a reflection of the bard who had haunted Elara's dreams so long ago. "I am," he replied softly, his voice a melody woven with echoes of distant lands and forgotten promises. Tomas led the bard to the oak tree by the riverbank, where the villagers had gathered in quiet anticipation. The air was thick with unspoken prayers and the lingering echoes of a love story that had transcended time and death. Under the moonlit sky, the bard knelt beside the tree, his fingers tracing the rough bark as if searching for traces of a lost melody. "Elara," he whispered, his voice a prayer and a plea, "forgive me for the pain I have caused." Suddenly, a gentle breeze swept through the clearing, carrying with it a whisper of a laughter long forgotten and a love that had defied all odds. And there, amidst the shimmering moonlight and the quiet murmur of the river, stood Elara's ghost, a vision of ethereal beauty and quiet longing. The bard looked upon her with eyes that held both regret and a love that had never truly died. "I have searched for you, across oceans and lifetimes," he confessed, his voice trembling with emotion. "Forgive me for leaving you behind." Elara's ghost regarded him with a gaze that spoke of centuries spent waiting and wandering. "I have never stopped loving you," she murmured, her voice a haunting echo of a heart that had never found peace. With a trembling hand, the bard reached out to touch Elara's shimmering form, his fingers passing through the cool mist that surrounded her. "Together, we shall find our way," he vowed, his voice a promise that echoed across the ages. And as the villagers watched in awe and reverence, the ghost of Elara and the bard who had once captured her heart faded into the moonlit night. Their spirits intertwined, destined to wander together through the realms of eternity, forever bound by a love that had defied even death itself. In the quiet village nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, the legend of the ghost of the village continued to echo through the generations. And though Elara's ghost no longer wandered the village streets, her presence remained etched in the hearts of those who remembered. The enduring legacy of a love that had transcended time and the unwavering hope that even in the darkest of nights, love would always find its way home. Years passed like the gentle flow of the river that meandered through the village, and the tale of Elara and the bard became a cherished legend passed down through the generations. The village prospered under the watchful eyes of those who had witnessed the union of the ghostly lovers. Tomas, now revered as the sage who had bridged the gap between the living and the departed, and the bard who had returned to fulfill a promise made in another life. The bard, whose name was revealed to be Arion, became an integral part of the village community. His songs, once filled with longing and regret, now echoed with melodies of love, rediscovered and redemption found. He and Tomas spent hours together beneath the oak tree, reminiscing about lost times and planning for a future where the ghosts of the past no longer haunted their steps. Under Arion's guidance, the village flourished. He taught the children to sing and dance, spreading joy through the once somber streets. With Tomas by his side, they built a shrine beneath the oak tree where Elara's spirit had first appeared, a place of quiet reflection and remembrance for those who sought solace in her tale. As the years went by, Arion and Tomas grew old together, their friendship a testament to the enduring power of love and forgiveness. The village prospered under their care, becoming known far and wide as a place where miracles were said to happen and lost souls found their way home. One crisp autumn morning, when the leaves turned gold and red, Arion sat beneath the oak tree, his weathered fingers strumming a familiar tune on his lute. Tomas, now bent with age but still possessing a spark of vitality, approached him with a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Tell me, Arion," Tomas began, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "Do you ever regret leaving your wandering days behind?" Arion glanced up, his eyes reflecting the colors of the changing leaves above. "Never," he replied softly, the melody of his song lingering in the crisp morning air. "For in finding Elara once more, I have discovered a home that I thought I had lost forever." Tomas nodded, a sense of contentment settling over him like a warm blanket. "And what of Elara?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper carried on the breeze. "Do you think she has found peace?" Arion's gaze turned distant, lost in memories that spanned lifetimes. "I believe she has," he replied finally, a smile touching his lips, "in the embrace of a love that has endured beyond death and the passage of time." The villagers, gathered in the square to hear Arion's songs and tales, listened with rapt attention. They knew that theirs was a village blessed by the love of two souls who had defied the odds and found each other once more. And as they danced to Arion's melodies and shared stories of Elara and the bard, they felt a profound sense of gratitude for the gift of love that had transformed their lives. In the years that followed, the legend of Elara and Arion continued to weave its magic through the village. Travelers would come from far and wide to hear the songs of the bard who had captured the heart of a ghost and to marvel at the shrine beneath the oak tree where their spirits had first reunited. And though time marched on and the seasons changed, the love story of Elara and the bard remained etched in the heart of the village, a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the belief that true love, once found, could never truly be lost again. As the village continued to thrive under the benevolent presence of Arion and Tomas, the seasons marked the passage of time with a gentle rhythm that mirrored the villagers' lives. Arion's songs became anthems of hope and resilience, weaving tales of love and redemption that echoed through the village square and beyond. With each passing year, the shrine beneath the oak tree grew more elaborate, adorned with fresh wildflowers and tokens of gratitude from villagers and travelers alike. It became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking solace, inspiration, or simply to witness the enduring love that had transcended even death itself. Tomas, now the elder statesman of the village, found joy in sharing the story of Elara and Arion with the youngest generation. He would gather the children beneath the oak tree on quiet afternoons, regaling them with tales of a time when love conquered fear and the impossible became reality. Their wide eyes and rapt attention reminded him of the power of storytelling not just to entertain, but to impart wisdom and ignite the imagination. Arion, too, found purpose in his role as the bard of the village. His melodies carried the laughter of children playing in the streets and the quiet contemplation of elders watching the sunset over the hills. Through his music, he wove a tapestry of emotions that connected the past with the present, ensuring that Elara's memory would endure for generations to come. One spring morning, when the village was awash with the fragrance of blossoming flowers and the promise of new beginnings, a stranger arrived at the outskirts of the village. He was a young man with eyes that held a hint of sadness and a lute slung over his shoulder, a traveler in search of stories and the echoes of legends whispered in distant lands. Intrigued by the tales he had heard of the village and its ghostly inhabitants, the young traveler made his way to the shrine beneath the oak tree. There, he found Tomas sitting in quiet contemplation, his weathered hands tracing the intricate carvings that adorned the shrine. "Good day, traveler," Tomas greeted him warmly, his voice carrying the wisdom of years spent listening to the heartbeat of the village. "What brings you to our humble corner of the world?" The young man smiled, his eyes lighting up with curiosity. "I have heard whispers of a love that defied death, a tale of a ghost and a bard whose melodies still linger in the air. I came seeking the truth behind the legends." Tomas chuckled softly, a twinkle of amusement in his eyes. "Ah, you seek the story of Elara and Arion, then? Come, sit with me beneath the oak tree, and I shall weave for you a tale that spans lifetimes." And so, beneath the canopy of ancient branches and the watchful gaze of the shrine, Tomas began to recount the timeless love story of Elara and Arion. He spoke of a village steeped in tradition and the tragic fate that had befallen a young maiden whose heart had dared to love beyond boundaries. As the hours passed, the young traveler listened with bated breath to the tale of love found and lost, of ghosts that wandered in search of peace, and of a bard who had returned to reclaim his lost love. With each word, he felt the magic of the village come alive, the laughter of children playing in the streets, the scent of wildflowers carried on the breeze, and the quiet strength of a community bound together by a shared belief in the power of love. When Tomas finally fell silent, the young traveler sat in contemplative silence, his thoughts filled with the echoes of a love story that had touched his heart. He looked up at the shrine, where the offerings of gratitude shimmered in the dappled sunlight, and felt a deep sense of reverence for the souls who had left their mark on the village. "Thank you, elder," the young traveler said softly, his voice tinged with awe. "Your tale has filled my heart with wonder and reminded me of the enduring power of love." Tomas smiled warmly, his eyes crinkling with a mixture of pride and nostalgia. "Remember, young one," he replied gently, "love is a force that transcends time and space. It binds us together, even when we are separated by the veil of death." With those words lingering in the air like a promise, the young traveler bid farewell to Tomas and the village that had welcomed him with open arms. As he walked away, the strains of Arion's lute followed him, carrying with them the melodies of a love that had touched the souls of all who had heard its tale. And so, the legend of Elara and Arion continued to echo through the village, carried on the wings of storytelling and the unwavering belief that true love, once found, could never truly be lost again. Years rolled by, and the young traveler carried the tale of Elara and Arion with him, sharing it with people he met on his journeys across distant lands. The legend of the village where love triumphed over fear and where a ghost found solace in the arms of her beloved bard spread far and wide. Meanwhile, in the quiet village nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, life continued with a sense of serenity and purpose. Tomas and Arion, now both elderly but still filled with vitality, spent their days together beneath the oak tree, where Elara's spirit had first appeared. They watched as new generations of children played in the streets, their laughter mingling with the songs that Arion played on his lute. One crisp autumn morning, when the leaves painted the landscape in shades of gold and crimson, Tomas passed away peacefully in his sleep. The entire village mourned the loss of their wise elder, who had kept the flame of Elara's memory burning bright for so many years. Arion, heart heavy with grief yet filled with a quiet determination, continued to honor Tomas's legacy. He took on the role of storyteller and guardian of the shrine beneath the oak tree, ensuring that Elara's tale remained alive in the hearts and minds of all who lived there. As time flowed on, Arion found solace in the rhythm of village life and in the knowledge that he had fulfilled his promise to Elara, a promise to love her for all eternity, across the boundaries of life and death. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of pink and orange, Arion sat beneath the oak tree, his fingers caressing the strings of his lute with a tenderness born of years spent in remembrance. He closed his eyes and let the music carry him away, lost in melodies that echoed the love he had found and lost and found again. And there, amidst the whispering leaves and the fading light of day, Arion felt a presence, a gentle breeze that stirred the air and carried with it a familiar laughter. He opened his eyes and saw her, a shimmering figure bathed in the soft glow of twilight. "Elara," he whispered, his voice trembling with a mixture of longing and joy. Elara's ghost smiled, a radiant expression that spoke of peace and eternal love. "Arion," she replied, her voice a melody that echoed through his soul. "You have kept your promise." Arion reached out a trembling hand, his fingers brushing against the cool mist that surrounded Elara's ethereal form. "I have searched for you through lifetimes," he confessed, his eyes filled with tears of happiness. "And now, here you are." Elara's ghost nodded, her gaze filled with a love that had endured across centuries. "Together, we have woven a tapestry of love and hope that spans beyond time itself," she murmured, her form shimmering with the warmth of their reunion. And as they sat together beneath the oak tree, their spirits intertwined in a dance of love and forgiveness, the villagers watched from afar with awe and reverence. They knew that theirs was a village blessed by the presence of two souls whose love had transcended even the boundaries of death. From that day forward, Arion and Elara's spirits wandered the village hand in hand, their laughter and songs weaving through the fabric of everyday life. The shrine beneath the oak tree became a place of celebration and remembrance, where villagers gathered to honor the enduring love that had transformed their lives. And though time continued its relentless march, the love story of Elara and Arion remained etched in the heart of the village, a testament to the belief that true love, once found, could never truly be lost again. In the quiet village nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, the legend of Elara and Arion lived on, a timeless tale of love, redemption, and the enduring power of the human spirit.